Hi, Kurt Andrews with Treetop Explorer. Today we're up here and I thought we'd talk about bark. What about the bark of trees? Bark's pretty interesting. It's one of the characteristics of trees that we can use to identify trees. It can be one of the more difficult identification tools. However, if you think of like white birch, pretty identifiable with its smooth white bark and kind of peels off. River birch, similar in the way it peels. In this particular tree, this is a hackberry. It has characteristic bark, and like a lot of trees, if we kind of look at the younger twigs, they tend to have a smoother bark, all right? And then as it gets older and ages, this one starts to flake and such. So this is pretty characteristic of what old hackberry bark looks like. With all trees in the bark, it's pretty neat. Some people see it as a skin. It's a protective coating on the tree, and so this bark that we see here was formed some time ago, and it just weathers as it goes. The tree forms new bark, but it's on the inside or beneath this bark. All right, and so that kind of brings me to the point. If we look at this here, we can see what's happening. The smooth bark, as this branch is starting to grow in diameter, because this old outer bark is not living, it will start to crack as the tree grows in diameter. So you see it kind of splitting. As the tree gets larger, or the branch gets larger, the bark is getting thicker, and it's flaking off, and this is what we see today with older bark. This branch used to have bark just like that one. So it's kind of interesting to see how bark progresses from young to old. And you can see that in most trees if you look up and you look at the younger branches like we were looking at there, and you go to the older stems. Anyhow, bark, like I said, is a protective coating. So when we're climbing, we'll naturally, probably with foot abrasion, our hands and legs, we might flake bark off. All right, so we're kind of peeling bark off. That in itself isn't exactly detrimental to the tree. It's the newer bark or immediately beneath that that's a problem. So this is one reason why we don't want to go tearing bark off and peeling bark off, because we could be exposing the living cells, in which case we cause damage and injury to the tree. So anyhow, it's also one reason, if we look here, I'm at the top of a rope that I've climbed to, and this is at the top of every one of our ropes that we place in trees. It's called, it's basically a rope saver. It's protecting friction against the bark, all right? So that living layer I was talking about underneath the bark, this protects our rope from running against it. We climb in our trees a few times a year, so that's a lot of activity that this one branch may see. So by using that, our rope is sliding without causing injury to the tree. So just in our climbing style itself, especially for recreational climbing, we're still always focused on trying to, we're climbing strong, healthy trees, and we want to minimize our impact to them. This is one way we can do it, and the other way is, not be tearing off and peeling bark on trees when you're out there. Anyhow, that was just one thing I wanted to share with you today. We have a lot of climbs scheduled. Hope you can get out and see them. We have some special events on the calendar. Everything's on our calendar at treetopexplorer.com. Hope you can come out and see us this summer. Until next time, I hope you get out and enjoy the trees.